Do you have any more glasses like that, Harv?
You want some of these
non-prescripts?
glasses? You want these non-prescript glasses? Get this kid his night vision glasses.
Oh, I should get those.
You wear those night visioners.
I do like those.
I hope the tunes.
Oh, this is way better with the headphones on, huh?
Because Director of Ops Chelsea is going to shut this thing off any minute, but
Are we rolling?
yeah, we're on. But I mean,
almost spilt. That
we
was
want to get
almost
as much
tough.
of this song in there as possible.
Great song. Let me give you cheers in a second.
It's hot. My fella's hot.
Harv.
So I think
Kanpai.
Coffee Buzz
Kanpai.
Friday. Kanpai. Is that what you say in Japan?
Kanpai. Yeah, Japan.
Kanpai?
Kanpai. Yeah, I got to speak some Japanese to Kenta Maeda-chan
Wow.
the other day
That's
in
coming
Iowa.
off the tongue pretty fluid. Out of you.
Yeah.
That's a pretty fluid.
Ohayou gozaimasu.
Yeah. What? How many things do you know? Can you speak it a little bit?
Kako wa owari. Mirai wo watashi tachi wa dekimasen. Taisetsu nano wa kyou dake desu.
Come on, kid.
That's the past is the past.
Yeah, you gotta be
We can't
careful.
control the
Come on.
future,
The past is the past.
and the present is all we have.
Where did you learn that?
Japan.
No, I know you learned it in Japan, but there had to have been a moment for you to get it like that.
I wanted to say something to the team after a rough stretch,
Okay.
and I asked my translator to teach me how to say that in a formal way, in a respectful tone, and so then he taught me it, and I just memorized it.
How long did it take you to learn that?
An hour.
Come on. Let's get it out. Let's roll it off the tongue one more time. So say what it is real quick again.
The past is the past. The future we can't control. All we have is the present.
All right, now let that rip. And is Japanese the right way to say that?
In Japanese.
Let it rip in Japanese.
Yeah.
Go for it. I'm gonna listen.
Let's see here. How did I even start it now? I forget it.
How about that? Guy forgets it. Guy forgets it right when we need it. Gotta memorize it an hour. Rattle off his tongue to professional
That's
Japanese
a
baseball
blackout.
team.
Watashi wa?
It's just dead air time right now. This is a non-dead air
This is getting
podcast.
clipped. This is getting clipped. I'm Chelsea.
Oh man, Director of Ops, get her in here.
Oh man. Yeah, Director of Ops, we need it. Yeah, all right. Let's start it over, huh?
So you don't have it in you anymore.
What? No, I have it.
I hate how much that microphone's just falling on you.
Yeah, it's got my mind in a blender, I will say.
Well, the problem with these mics is the microphone itself is really nice.
Okay, there we go.
And it's heavy. And then these stands, we were struggling getting the stands. And so it looks, I mean, it is nice and the setup is nice, but they're fragile. And I think it's because the mic is so heavy because it's such a big league mic.
It's a big league mic.
It's a big league mic. And so you got to be careful on those. You know, it's not like stationary. And I think if I had a studio, I could hammer this thing in. But I'm too nomadic to have a studio. You can't pin the kid down.
No, you can't pin him down.
It's hard to pin him.
No.
Do you have that line in your head yet?
No, I've been trying to think about it.
Okay, so
I'll have to just riff through it. Watashi wa kyou dake desu. Taisetsu nano wa kyou dake desu.
You don't know it.
How did I just rattle that off my subconscious, though?
I know, it's beautiful how that works. Sometimes I can do that with like 50 Cent songs and Eminem songs. I can just get going. You get down the thing and I can just let it rip.
Yep.
And I was so dialed into it. And it's like, how do I still remember that? That was so long ago. So anyways, this is Coffee Buzz Friday.
Buzz Friday.
Have you followed along with that at all?
Yeah, I've been following along with your Coffee Buzz series.
Do you understand what it is?
No, please indulge me.
So Coffee Buzz Friday is historically, obviously, we're drinking coffee, and this will be a little bit of buzz. This is a late afternoon coffee-ish, probably the last one of the day. Had quite a few today as well, but that's good because we're on a coffee buzz.
Yeah, we got a little jitter.
I feel I'm stable, so it's good to be buzzing on a coffee buzz pod. Now, historically, how they happened is we get questions asked. So they're prompted by the audience. So I have two questions we're going to answer today that have
awesome.
come in from a guy named Tyler Oakley.
Tyler Oakley. Beautiful name.
Yeah, it is. He's a really intelligent guy too. And so people will ask me questions. A lot of times they send them in via DMs. I got these via text. I'll get a lot. People text me sporadically, or I get them on an email or something along those lines. So I save them and stock them up.
Yeah.
And I don't read them until I go on the show.
Oh, really?
So I'm not going to know these questions.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, so I'll know this. You're going to get it hit to you randomly.
Okay.
But so will I.
Got it.
Now, where I've gotten a little laissez-faire a little bit in this is I used to have a strict, hard 5-minute deadline.
Okay. You have 5 minutes to answer
And
the question.
Steve McGuigan, the bull, has been a heavy part of this.
Okay.
So, and he's great. And I had him on a Coffee Buzz recently. He was actually chirping me over the weekend about not having him on. But the problem is it's hard to pin me down.
Hard to pin you down.
Hard to pin me down.
Hey, I like Steve, though.
The man.
Yeah.
One of the best.
Very compelling conversation that you guys were having.
Yeah, I feel like you can hear me a lot more because the mic's closer to me. Do you feel comfortable with it where you're at?
I just don't want it to fall over. Can you not hear me?
No, I hear you good. I just like...
See how it falls?
Yeah, maybe move it back towards where it was.
Okay.
Because it has to be angled like that. And then maybe...
Like that.
Yeah, say something?
Yo. How we
Oh,
doing?
you're good. You're good.
Yeah, we're buzzing. Okay.
Yeah, so what happens is you get questions, and I think we used to do 4, and you had 5 minutes. No, I think we did 5. You did 5 minutes. I've been doing laissez-faire because I've gotten away from the hard 5-minute deal, and like today, we're just going to answer 2.
Got it.
See what I'm saying?
So we're giving ourselves some more room to work with for those 2 questions.
A little bit more leeway. At the same time, I'd like to appreciate the let's at least not try to go over like 7 minutes.
Deal.
So it'll be like
7 as a ping pong or 7 individual?
Ping pong.
Okay.
So it used to be when we would be strict, it'd be like if you were done at 5, if it was at 5 minutes and it was over, if whoever was talking was done.
Yep.
No matter what.
Okay.
The reason why I want to be really diligent on our time here is because Beede and I are getting ready to go see the oldest sauna.
The first ever
The
in
first
America.
sauna built in America.
1868.
Savu sauna.
Savu.
And it's a smoke sauna. Have you ever been to a smoke sauna?
No? Is that
First smoke
different?
sauna I ever did was in Finland.
Okay.
And these were built by Finnish people.
Maybe the best.
And I'm not going to talk about it because I've never been there, but it's in Cokato, Minnesota. It's about 47 minutes to 52 minutes west of Minnetonka area. And we're going to go see it. I've been in Minnesota for a long time, never been.
Are we going to sweat in it?
I don't know. I was trying to talk to the lady into getting us to sweat in there. It's old.
It's old.
So, all right. Well, that's the durability of the Finnish brand natural, authentic saunas. We're talking about a 200-year-old sauna. People are buying prefab saunas that are lasting them 5 to 7 years. Something to think about. Here we go. Ready? Question number 1, Tyler Oakley. Do we ever truly know anything? This is perfect, what we've been talking about. Do we ever truly know anything, or are we always interpreting?
Interpreting from base.
It's the question. It's in our hands.
Do
now.
we truly know anything, or are we always interpreting?
Do we ever truly know anything, or are we always interpreting?
Yeah, I think based on my initial thought of the question, there is always an interpretation of how somebody else either has gone through an experience or would speak on something, right? Like I feel like, oh, that's a tough one. That's got me on my toes, Tyler. That's a good one.
That's what the buzz does to you, fella.
Yeah.
You got to come out here ready to go. You can't be dropping. You can't have something off the top of your head and then forget it 2 seconds later.
No, you can't. No, you can't. But I did remember the Japanese that I was going to speak, so I'm excited about that later. Mm-hmm. I think my camp, the way I stand on things is it's a healthy blend of the experience that you've had, the things people have said to you. That's the way you interpret scenarios in your life. And so like you go into a situation as like part, like the people who like nature versus nurture, maybe is the way I would answer that. It's like a lot of the things that you experience are a byproduct of the nurturing, the way you were raised, the people that you are around, the people that you still continue to be around. Is how you interpret situations and how you respond in certain situations. Then there's this nature component to it. And the way that I think, like, do we truly know anything? like, I think we do when we are in tune with our true self, right? I know we've had conversations about that, of like when you're ultra present and when you're in a place where you kind of quiet the voices around you and you can hear the quiet whisper in your head of who you truly are, and like being in tune with yourself. I think like the thoughts that flow from that place, almost of subconscious, are, there's truth to them, right? And so I think the question is, yes, do we truly get to a place where, read the question again?
Do we ever truly know anything?
Yes. So I think the answer is yes and no. Okay. Like, yes, I would say when we are in that place where we're like raw and we're truly able to kind of like hear like a purity to our thoughts and connection to ourself. Yes, there's truth to those thoughts. But then on the flip side, when our kind of, the thoughts are muddied and we're kind of going through an interaction, we're probably more interpreting what maybe we need to project in that situation.
Final answer?
Yeah.
That was actually beautiful. I like how you got there.
Appreciate that.
It takes a minute.
Yep.
When you kind of know you're on a clock a little bit and you have a question like that.
Well, I think to that question, I was trying to interpret at first, and then I got to a place where I was just like, just let your thoughts flow about the answer.
Yeah, I think that's what I like about Coffee Buzz. You got to let the source work through you. That's the creativeness of not knowing. If you know the answer, then you can start to formulate your idea. Part of the process of the buzz is to work through it and understand the working through process. So the first thing that comes to my mind, it's always difficult when you go second, because you go second, it's slightly biased, right? Because I just heard your answer, and which is fine and it's good. I think about Immanuel Kant as a philosopher in the 18th century, and I've recently been reading some of his work, and I'm nowhere near where I'd like to be with that. I was really delving into Nietzsche's work and a lot of these philosophers in the 19th century, but this guy's been newer to me, and it's about 100 years earlier. Mm-hmm. That's probably a lot. We'll call it 50 years earlier. And anyways, that's not the point. The point is that in this book that I'm reading right now, he takes a stance that objectively that moral law is universal. So moral law, or law, and the way you said it, I consider that like nature. Like nature is universally true. We universally know the nature of the human organism will die. Mm-hmm. So that is a universal truth. The concept that he talks about how this becomes really difficult is the second part of the question. Are we always interpreting things? He talks about how universal truths have to be separate from independent experience. And if you think about how often you hear people, myself included, this isn't a people do this. This is, when I say people do this, Harvey is also part of people. Mm-hmm. So I'm also part of this. Mm-hmm. People start most of their truths by saying, in my experience. Mm-hmm. And that instantaneously creates a disconnection from universal law, from nature. Yep. Because now your independent experience, if you were to say, in my experience, he has a good question about this, and this is a lot of the philosophizing that he does in this topic, is that after I say, okay, to any topic, I start by saying, okay, in my experience and what I'm about to say, his whole thing is philosophizing over the concept of what you're about to say. Is it a universal truth? And if it's a universal truth, then it's not in your experience. See what I'm saying? Yes. So to the question, why I'm thinking through that, to that question specifically, do we ever truly know anything? Well, of course not. We don't know anything. Even in the concept of God, or I was talking about Zen. You know exactly what Zen is, but if you knew exactly what Zen is, you wouldn't know what Zen is. And that's all you need to know about Zen. Yeah. It's that you don't know what it is, but you know exactly what it is. Yep. And it just is. Love that. It's the same thing of God when he talks to Moses in the burning bush. I am that I am. God is. What is? You see what I'm saying? Yes. And so the mystical side of existence has to be is. It is. And that's it. That's what it is. If I had my sound bowl, I'd hit my sound bowl right there so that the is could last longer. So it'd be like, yes. See what I'm saying? Because that's the only truth. So then because I can't know the ongoing moment, the ongoing presence,
Yeah.
then I'm always interpreting.
Yeah.
And that's why I can't alienate myself from when I say people, because I am just as much a person as the rest of the people. Hence why I say, in my experience.
Yeah.
And then I go on and tell you my truth.
Yeah.
Which would be my answer to that. So if I were to complete it, the answer would be no, I don't think we know anything, which you hear me talk all the time now that you're with me more often. I mean, I'm regularly talking about the not knowing of anything. And I think that we know things as truths based off our interpretation solely, and those can be true, and that can be wisdom, and that can be knowledge for sure. But as far as the ever truly know anything, to me, that's the mysticalness of God. And I don't think, when I generalize people, I don't think we can get to know that.
Yeah, there's a mystery.
Did I get there?
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay. So I usually had a judge's gavel.
Maybe I got
Questions completed. Next question.
That's-
How about that being right over the
You
shoulder?
didn't plan
there?
that, huh?
No, I didn't know that was there. I mean, I knew that was there when I pressed start, but I didn't know that was
beautiful.
there. Yeah. So, okay, next question. Is the ego a villain, a protector, or a misunderstood ally? I'll say it one more time. Is the ego a villain, a protector, or a misunderstood ally? You have to go first, because usually in coffee buzzes, people read the questions for you. So I got to read it and also play guy on a mic.
Yep.
So for this instance, you got to go first again. Is the ego a villain, a protector, or a misunderstood ally? Go ahead.
That's a great question. That's from Tyler as well.
He's deep. Dad's a deep philosophical man. Deep family. Oaks is a wise, beyond his years type guy.
Oaks, you're a wise guy.
He's a wise, deep dude.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Is the ego a villain, a protector, or a misunderstood ally? I can go if you want me to go.
You can if you'd like.
Okay, I think that materially, egotistically, I think that the ego of the ego is a villain. So the ego of the ego, going back to generalizations, is a villain. We egotistically categorize the ego in that situation. I think psychologically, objective human behavior, the ego is a protector. Where I'm going to go with this is the ego is all three.
Yeah.
The ego in a psychological human behavior literal sense. So if you were studying psychology as a class, I think you would learn the protective mechanisms of the ego.
Yep.
The ego is built for survival, hence why we don't like things like uncertainty and struggle. And the ego doesn't want to do that, so it's there to protect us. Like I said, on the surface, material, the ego villainizes the ego. In the actuality of human psychology, the ego is the protector of the ego, the protector of our experience. The misunderstood, I think you could eliminate the word misunderstood, even though I'll ride with it. You could just also call it the ally. The ego is also part of the ally, which I think kind of runs in the same lane as protector. But the reason why I think the word misunderstood is actually what brings that question to such beauty is because we typically start the same way that the question was asked, meaning we villainize the ego. Materially, we don't understand the ally of the ego. So we don't. I'll use the Bible for instance, because I completed the Bible this past year, right?
Yeah.
I told you that. Okay, so I completed the Bible. The reason why I read the Bible and dedicated a year or two to reading it fully, and when I say I read it, I also did a study guide Bible. So it wasn't
good.
like I was working while I was reading it.
Yeah.
Like I was deeply invested
That's
into
awesome.
it. Yeah, and it is awesome. But the thing is, when I decided to do that originally, it was because I was in a group of people at a Bible study. We were debating on the stories in the Bible, and I had realized that in all of us who were debating at the time, none of us had read the Bible. So I was like, I don't want to be in a situation, like I felt bad about myself. I'm debating something or I'm asking questions of something I don't even understand. I don't have any I haven't gone on the journey.
Yeah.
So I don't even deserve to have this debate.
Sure.
And so I went and did that, and then I put my head down. And the funny part is, even when I tell that story, I can barely remember, and I might not even know who was in the Bible study, which is funny. Even though the Bible study is what led me to pursue this thing through an action. Then I get outside of it. I'm nowhere around any of these people that the originality of this thing took place. And now I can't even communicate with them. And the debate is like 2 years prior.
Yeah.
So it's like irrelevant.
Yeah.
And a couple days before I was getting ready to finish it, I knew I had like 5 to 10 pages left. So I was telling Chelsea the night before, I was like, hey, like, just give me an hour and a half tomorrow of uninterrupted time. Don't really talk to me. I want to finish the Bible. Because it was a very, it's like finishing a marathon.
Yeah.
You know, you're fired up.
Yeah.
And so I was super pumped to finish reading it. And I was also tired of reading it because of how much like headspace I'd put into it.
Yeah.
And she hit me with a great universal truth, I think, through my experience. She said, isn't it crazy that your ego is so big that you just sat down and read the entire Bible because of one Bible study? And she was so right.
That's so funny.
Because the ego, if I didn't have an ego, it's like I didn't really read that to become a Christian.
Yeah.
On the initial pursuit. I didn't read that thing. I just read it to be able to debate better.
Yeah.
And I didn't like admitting that. I had to face that when she called out my ego. And then it's okay, well, that simple story, I think, grabs a hold of all three of the scenarios. And it puts it and packages it all together. And you can use that. So I think that the ego uses the word misunderstood from that story because, yes, is that painful to hear? Even as I share that story, someone who's listening to this, interpreting it, can feel very negative towards the story I just shared. A lot of times that's kind of what you can get as a response. Like, dude, like, grow up. You know, this is a massive, like they'll have interpretations to Christianity and the Bible.
Yep.
And if they hear that I read it out of ego, well, that's not a general topic. So it's going to have an interpretation to me using this verbiage that I'm strategically using.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if I don't have that ego, does it push me to read the entire Bible and become closer, which it did. It made me closer to God. It made me feel more comfortable as myself. It exposed me.
Yeah.
It challenged me. It deepened me. It brought me to comforts, and it's made me a stronger person. And I would suggest everybody to read the Bible for all the lessons and the beauty that lives within it and your connection to God. I think it's an incredible experience and probably one of the most things I'm proud of in my life to have done that.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd do that without the ego.
Right.
So that's the misunderstoodness, because the ally there is that it became a massive need of me to walk closer in my faith, and I needed that ego for materialism to get me deeper into non-materialism.
Yeah.
So I think that the word misunderstood is used wisely in that
That's
question.
beautiful. Yeah.
Now you go.
Hard for me to top that answer, Harv, but that's good. I mean, why I had such like a silence in the beginning around the question was because of that. Like I do think it is all three. And the way you dissected the word misunderstood is where I think the whole question lies, is because once you have an awareness of your ego and at what point it is your ally or your enemy, and sort of taking control in a negative way, the way you're going about making decisions, whether to read the Bible or maybe even the flip side, your ego's getting in the way of saying, you don't need that. You have plenty of understanding. Why do you need God or God's word? Right. And then so like, to me, there's a spirit to it, right? If God instilled the Holy Spirit in us, I think it can be disguised sometimes as we just put it in the box of an ego and we give ourselves too much credit. And then on the flip side, when we're disconnected from, the spirit, right? Or it's not alive and active in us in the sense that we haven't fed it, right? Because I think that anything that lays dormant inside of you and you haven't fed it God's word, praying, doing things that, kind of stir your passions for God, and you're connected to nature and who you truly are, and you're doing things that you love. I think that awakens the spirit inside of you, which in other words is like this positive allied ego. And you start to make decisions out of respect for that intuition inside of you. And on the flip side, like I said, when you're not connected to that, it's your worst enemy. It's like what the Bible says. Sometimes Paul talks about, I do the things that I don't want to do, and the things that I want to do, I can't do. And that's the ego, right? Or that's the spirit, alive or not alive within you, to say like, why do I do certain things that I know I shouldn't do? Or why I know there's things that I should do. I should go on a walk, first thing in the morning and, go on a prayer walk or go get in the sun, or I should work out, or I should eat healthy, or I should have good conversations of depth with a trusted friend, or I should journal. I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't go watch that. I shouldn't say those things to that person. I shouldn't wish harm upon that right? And so we sit here and we kind of like try to figure out those things, and I think a lot of it can be boiled down to a misunderstanding of what is going on inside of us that's directing our steps, and that which we're trusting or we're trying to lean on. And so I've never quite thought about it from the context of it being an ego, but because of what you said, I think a lot of how I interpret the way the Holy Spirit works in me and allows me to kind of the conviction to make certain changes or to do certain things or say certain things. I can always tell when I'm in step with the Spirit. The Bible talks about walk in step with the Spirit. Set aside the ways of the flesh. And it's, again, those are biblical. That's biblical language to, I think, what the question is asking. And when we walk in step with the flesh, or when we are abiding by the desires of the flesh, which are the things of this world, which are things that are disconnected from God, we are allowing the ego to take control of us in a negative, harmful way. And so that's where my mind goes with that question.
Yeah, I really like that. It's kind of like to me, I think the ego is I've said this to you, I'm sure. In my last book, I wrote about how the spirit wants the experience of the ego, and the ego wants the experience of the soul. And so the need of both is the experience. Because they can't beat each other because they need each other. So if they ended up eating each other, they would eat each other back into form.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I got you.
Like you wouldn't.
I'm seeing it.
Yeah, it would just be chasing each other.
I'm seeing it.
And I think that's in our way of dancing with the human experience. That's what I've come to understand, even from a biblical sense as well, is they might use different language, but even when I break it all down, that's kind of the way I've understood it. Is this is this ego that I have, and it's my experience. It's my job to learn its villain aspect. Yeah. It's my job to learn its protector aspect and its ally aspect.
Amen to that. It is your job. It's our job to learn that. That's well said.
And I think you used the word intuition at some point in this, but I think that's what the spirit inside all of us is guiding you towards. So that's when I think you can feel, ooh, there's the villain. I'm okay. I need to, I need to clean it up a little bit. Yep. But I need to at least feel that. And if you're unaware to it, then that's the spiral effects.
Yeah. Man, no, it's good, because I think at times if the villain side of the ego rears its head, how quick are we to just kind of like turn a blind eye to it maybe, or just try to like pretend like that's not happening or whatever, or taking over, and I think it's the human nature side of life, and it's also the need for grace, self-sufficient or like self-directed grace is a better way to say it, because I think we can be so hard on ourselves that we spiral into allowing the villainous ego to become sort of projected as our identity, right? And it's like people get into bad spots in life. They experience a rock bottom. They go through rough spurts, and they then assume that mistake that they made or that thing that they did is who they are, right? It's this difference between guilt and shame. It's like shame or guilt is I did something bad. Shame is I am bad, right? And so it's understanding like we as humans want to so quickly attach I think you were saying this, like we try to attach to our ego this experience of life, and it becomes at a soul level who we think that we are. But like, that's not in true like nature of how God created us. That's not how he created us. Right. It's like we are, if we look at in the way the Bible explains who we truly are, like we're the righteousness of God. We are God's handiwork. We are magnificently made. We are the righteousness of God. I'll say that to myself all the time. And it's not to say like from an ego perspective, oh, I'm better than you, because we all are. Like that's in a sense how God has created all of us. And so it is this wrestling match between these egos. And if you can't be the referee in the middle of them and knowing what's going on, then I think you're putting yourself in a real tricky spot to be controlled by I think one or the other at certain times.
Well said. Feel good?
Mm-hmm.
Congrats, man. First coffee buzz.
I'm honored.
Here, I'll cheers you.
Cheers, brother.
Although I'm pretty buzzed out. There we go.
Kako wa awari mirai wo watashi tashi wa dekimasen. Taisetsu nano wa kyou daki desu. Arigatou gozaimasu. いい一日を.
Cheers.
Cheers.